In a tranquil town surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a man named Liam. His life appeared simple, even idyllic, to those who saw him. He woke early, went about his day, and retired each evening with little fanfare. But beneath this veneer of routine, Liam felt an unshakable emptiness. It wasn't sadness or despair, but a quiet yearning, a sense that something vital was missing from his life. Little did Liam know, his journey to rediscovering connection and inner peace wouldn't require grand adventures or dramatic changes. Instead, it would unfold through the smallest moments, those often overlooked pockets of beauty that, when noticed, have the power to transform everything. His story reminds us that the answers we seek are often closer than we realize, waiting patiently for us to slow down and see them. It was a morning like any other as Liam walked his familiar path to work. The air was cool and fresh, the kind of crispness that seems to sharpen your senses. As he strolled past a wooden fence, a brilliant flash of red caught his eye. A bird had landed, its feathers shimmering in the early sunlight. It chirped 3 clear notes before flitting away, disappearing as quickly as it had come. At first, Liam barely registered it. It was just a bird, after all. But when the same thing happened the next morning, and again the day after that, he began to wonder if it meant something. Could it be a sign? And if so, what was it trying to say? In moments like this, it's natural to search for meaning. Even renowned physicist Albert Einstein believed in the mysterious and interconnected nature of the universe. He once said, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." This idea that seemingly small, random events could carry deeper significance resonated with Liam. He couldn't shake the feeling that the bird was more than just a bird. It was a nudge, a whisper from something greater. This isn't just Liam's story. History is filled with tales of people finding profound meaning in small moments. Consider Oprah Winfrey, who speaks often about how paying attention to life's whispers helped guide her to success. She has shared stories of how subtle signs, like a phrase she heard repeatedly or a book recommendation that seemed to appear everywhere, have shaped her decisions. It's about being open to the messages around you, even if they come in the form of a simple bird on a fence. For Liam, the repetition of the red bird's appearance was enough to make him pause. What if this wasn't a coincidence, but a chance to reevaluate the routine path he walked every day? In the busyness of modern life, it's easy to overlook the beauty and mystery that exists in the world around us. But sometimes, the smallest moments, like a bird's song, can serve as a catalyst for introspection. Perhaps that's what the bird represented, an invitation to wake up to the present, to notice the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's a lesson we can all take to heart. After all, as poet Mary Oliver once asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" For Liam, the answer began with a single moment of noticing. The bird's visits may have seemed insignificant to a passerby, but for Liam, they sparked a quiet curiosity. Was the universe speaking to him? And if so, what would happen if he chose to listen? One ordinary afternoon, Liam found himself at the local grocery store, navigating the aisles in his usual unhurried way. As he stood in line, checking his list one last time, a little girl suddenly appeared beside him. She held out a bright yellow flower, her smile radiating pure innocence and joy. Before Liam could even respond, she darted back to her mother, leaving him holding the delicate bloom. It was such a simple gesture, but in that fleeting moment, something shifted inside Liam. There was a warmth in his chest, a quiet joy he hadn't felt in years. He stared at the flower, its vibrant color standing in stark contrast to the muted tones of his day-to-day life. Was this just a random act of kindness? Or could it be something more, a reminder to pay attention to the beauty in the smallest of moments? This isn't the first time a small, unexpected act has sparked a profound realization. Take J.K. Rowling, for instance. Before she became the author of Harry Potter, she was struggling with depression and financial difficulties. In an interview, she shared how a stranger's random act of kindness, paying for her coffee when she couldn't afford it, gave her a glimmer of hope during one of her darkest times. It wasn't about the money, it was the reminder that someone cared, that she wasn't invisible. For Liam, the yellow flower became a symbol of something larger. It wasn't just a child's playful whim, it was an invitation to pause, to notice, to feel. In a world that often feels rushed and transactional, moments like these remind us of our shared humanity. They're small but powerful, like ripples that extend far beyond their source. Psychologists often talk about the concept of micro moments of connection, those brief, positive interactions that can significantly impact our mood and even our mental health. A smile, a kind word, or, in Liam's case, a yellow flower, can break through the fog of routine and make us feel truly seen. Even Steve Jobs, known for his intense focus and innovation, believed in the importance of small moments. He once said, "The small details matter. They create the big picture." As Liam held the flower, he began to wonder, was this another sign? Was the universe, through the hands of a little girl, nudging him to wake up to the beauty he'd been overlooking? It's easy to dismiss such thoughts, to rationalize them away. But what if we didn't? What if we embraced the possibility that the smallest gestures could carry the greatest meaning? In that quiet grocery store, Liam didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of curiosity and connection. The yellow flower wasn't just a flower, it was a spark, a moment of grace that stayed with him long after he left the store. One quiet evening, Liam sat on his porch as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky was a masterpiece, painted with brilliant strokes of orange, pink, and violet, like a scene from a dream. For the first time in years, Liam felt no urge to rush or plan. He simply existed in the moment, letting the beauty of the world wash over him. As he stared out at the horizon, the usual thoughts that crowded his mind, work deadlines, unanswered emails, and the loneliness he often tried to ignore, faded into the background. In their place was a profound sense of peace. It wasn't the kind of peace you find in achieving a goal or checking off a to-do list. This was deeper, simpler. It came from the stillness, from allowing himself to be present. Liam's experience echoes the wisdom of transcendental moments that many famous figures have spoken about. Take Henry David Thoreau, for instance. When he retreated to Walden Pond, he sought to live deliberately and find peace in simplicity. In his writing, Thoreau described watching the sunrise as a transformative act, one that reminded him of the interconnectedness of all things. Liam's porch, on this particular evening, felt like his own version of Walden Pond. Such moments also bring to mind Maya Angelou's reflections on gratitude and presence. Angelou often spoke about finding beauty in everyday life, the sound of laughter, the feel of a cool breeze, or the colors of a sunset. She believed that these moments weren't just fleeting pleasures, but essential reminders of the richness of being alive. Liam might not have known Angelou's words, but he was living their truth. Personally, I've experienced this kind of peace during evening runs along the beach. There's something about the rhythm of the waves and the colors of the setting sun that strips away all the noise of daily life. In those moments, like Liam's on the porch, I'm reminded that the answers we seek to our stress, our restlessness, our longing, are often right in front of us, waiting for us to notice. As Liam sat there, he began to wonder, had he been looking fulfillment in the wrong places? He realized he had spent so much time chasing what he thought he needed, security, success, approval, that he had overlooked the simple joys that were always within reach. The vibrant hues of the sunset seemed to whisper a quiet truth. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you allow yourself to feel. This realization marked a turning point for Liam. From that day forward, he made a conscious effort to pause and appreciate these small, fleeting gifts. Whether it was the chirping of birds in the morning or the way the light filtered through the trees, he found solace in the present moment. And in doing so, he began to uncover a sense of wholeness he hadn't known he was missing. It was an unremarkable afternoon when Liam found himself wandering through the park, seeking solace in the shade of the trees. As he turned a corner, he noticed an old man sitting quietly on a wooden bench, tossing crumbs to a group of pigeons. There was something about the man's demeanor, calm, steady, unbothered by the world rushing around him, that drew Liam closer. Without intending to, Liam sat down on the bench. The old man glanced at him and offered a warm smile, as though he'd been expecting Liam all along. They began to chat, first about the weather, then the birds, and finally life. The old man's voice was soothing, his words deliberate yet unassuming. "You know," the man said, "life has a way of overwhelming us with noise and clutter. But peace isn't something you chase, it's something you notice. He gestured toward a small flower growing near the bench. Take that flower, for example. It doesn't ask for attention, it simply blooms. Yet, if you stop and truly look at it, you'll find beauty in its simplicity. That's the secret. Peace is in the smallest things: a flower blooming, the rustle of leaves, the sound of the wind. These moments hold the key to contentment. The old man's words stayed with Liam. It was such a simple idea, yet it felt profound. This concept of finding beauty in small moments echoes the teachings of mindfulness advocates like Thich Nhat Hanh. The revered Zen master often spoke of washing dishes as an act of meditation, emphasizing that even the most mundane tasks can become opportunities for presence and peace if approached with intention. This interaction also brings to mind the late Fred Rogers, who famously cherished the small, quiet moments in life. Mr. Rogers believed in the power of connecting with the present, whether it was through a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the world around you. His legacy reminds us that simplicity doesn't diminish meaning, it amplifies it. Personally, I remember a similar encounter during a solo hike. I met a stranger who, like the old man in the park, seemed entirely at ease with the world. He shared a piece of advice that has stayed with me. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. It was a simple thought, but it shifted my perspective on how I approached my own busyness. For Liam, the old man's wisdom became a turning point. It wasn't just about the words, it was about the way they made him feel, seen, understood, and encouraged to embrace the small joys that surrounded him. As Liam left the park that day, he found himself noticing things he'd overlooked before: the play of light on the water, the rustle of branches overhead, the rhythm of his own footsteps. The old man had planted a seed of mindfulness in Liam's heart, and it began to grow. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over Liam's garden, he found himself drawn to a single flower. Its vibrant colors seemed to glow in the soft evening light. He knelt beside it, not with the intention of doing anything, but simply to be. For the first time in a long while, Liam allowed himself to observe without judgment or distraction. The petals were delicate, their edges curling ever so slightly as if whispering secrets to the wind. The flower swayed gently, caught in the rhythm of the breeze, its motion both graceful and unhurried. The interplay of light and shadow on its surface created a kaleidoscope of textures and hues. Liam couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. It was as though the flower had always been there, patiently waiting for him to notice. In that stillness, time seemed to dissolve. Liam wasn't thinking about work or the errands he had to run. He wasn't worried about the future or replaying the past. He was simply there, fully present, connected not just to the flower, but to the world around him, and most importantly, to himself. This experience echoes the philosophy of mindfulness championed by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who often speaks about the power of being fully present in the moment. Kabat-Zinn's teachings emphasize that mindfulness isn't about escaping reality, but about engaging with it more deeply. For Liam, the act of observing the flower was a gateway to this deeper engagement, a moment of clarity in a noisy world. It also brings to mind Vincent van Gogh, who found inspiration and solace in the natural world. His paintings of sunflowers and irises weren't just artistic expressions, they were acts of devotion to the beauty he saw in the ordinary. Van Gogh once said, "If you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere." Liam's moment in the garden felt like a living embodiment of this sentiment. Personally, I've had similar moments while hiking through a quiet forest. I remember pausing to watch a single leaf quiver in the breeze. It wasn't the most spectacular sight, but in that moment, it felt profound. It reminded me that the smallest details often hold the greatest truths, if we only take the time to see them. For Liam, that flower became more than just a plant in his garden. It became a symbol of the peace and connection he'd been searching for. In its quiet beauty, he found a reflection of his own inner stillness. That evening marked a shift for Liam. He realized that the answers he'd been chasing weren't somewhere out there. They were here, in the present, waiting patiently for him to notice. As the days passed, Liam found himself drawn to the simple joys of life that had once gone unnoticed. Each evening, he would sit on his porch and watch the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. The sunsets became more than just a transition between day and night. They were a reminder of the beauty in impermanence. He began taking long walks through the nearby woods, marveling at the intricate patterns of leaves and the way sunlight filtered through the canopy. Each sound, from the rustling branches to the chirping of birds, felt like a gentle invitation to slow down and listen. Nature wasn't just a backdrop, it became a teacher, offering lessons in patience and presence. Liam also started journaling. In the quiet of his evenings, he would pour his thoughts onto the page, not with the intention of solving problems, but simply to reflect. His entries were filled with gratitude for the small moments, the way the breeze felt against his skin, the unexpected laughter of children playing in the distance, the joy of seeing a flower bloom in his garden. Through his writing, he began to see how these fleeting experiences wove together a tapestry of contentment. This shift in Liam's perspective echoes the wisdom of renowned writer and theologian Thomas Merton, who said, "Happiness is not a matter of intensity, but of balance, order, rhythm, and harmony." Liam's newfound appreciation for life's quiet rhythms mirrored this idea. He wasn't chasing happiness anymore, he was living it. Liam's journey also brings to mind the practices of poet Mary Oliver, who celebrated life's simplicity in her work. Her poems often explored the profound beauty of nature and the importance of being fully present. Oliver's question, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" seemed to resonate in every moment Liam now chose to savor. Reflecting on this, I'm reminded of my own moments of stillness. Those times when I've stepped away from the hustle to sit quietly with a journal or watch the world unfold around me. It's incredible how such seemingly small acts can ground you, making the chaos of life feel distant and manageable. For Liam, these peaceful moments weren't just pauses in his day, they became the foundation of his life. He discovered that happiness wasn't something to chase or achieve, it was something to notice, to feel, and to live. The more he embraced the present, the more he realized that joy had been within his reach all along, waiting for him to slow down and see it. Years after Liam passed away peacefully in his sleep, his son Michael returned to the family home to sort through his father's belongings. The house felt quiet and full of memories, each corner carrying a trace of Liam's gentle spirit. Among the items, Michael discovered a worn leather journal tucked inside a drawer. As Michael flipped through its pages, he found entries that painted a picture of his father's transformation. Moments of mindfulness, reflections on nature, and gratitude for life's simple joys. One particular entry stopped him in his tracks. "Today, I sat and watched a flower bloom. I felt connected to everything around me. The worries and fears faded away. I wish Michael could feel this peace." The words struck Michael deeply. He had always known his father as a quiet, thoughtful man, but this entry revealed a depth of contentment and wisdom he hadn't fully understood. It wasn't just a journal, it was a roadmap to a life lived with intention and grace. Michael couldn't help but think of how often he dismissed his own opportunities for stillness. His busy life in the city, full of deadlines and distractions, had left little room for moments like the one his father described. He realized that while he had been chasing success, Liam had been cultivating peace. This moment of discovery brings to mind Steve Jobs' belief in the importance of reflection. Jobs famously said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards." For Michael, reading his father's journal was a moment of connecting those dots. It was a chance to see the lessons Liam had tried to impart through his own quiet example. Inspired, Michael decided to honor his father's memory by trying to experience the peace Liam had described. He went out to the garden where his father once spent so much time and found the same flower, now blooming again. Sitting beside it, Michael let himself simply be. At first, his mind buzzed with thoughts of work and responsibilities, but as he focused on the flower's delicate beauty, something shifted. The worries began to fade, replaced by a quiet sense of connection. This experience echoes the wisdom of Eckhart Tolle, who emphasizes the power of presence in his book, The Power of Now. Tolle writes, "Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life." For Michael, This moment with the flower was his gateway into the present, a glimpse of the peace his father had cherished. As Michael closed the journal later that evening, he felt a newfound sense of purpose. Liam's reflections weren't just words on a page, they were an invitation to live differently. And Michael vowed to carry that invitation forward, embracing the small moments and finding peace in the here and now. Michael found himself in the garden where his father had spent so many peaceful moments. The air was still, and the flower his father once wrote about swayed gently in the breeze. Sitting cross-legged on the soft grass, Michael hesitated at first. Could something so simple really hold the key to the peace his father had discovered? As he gazed at the flower, his mind initially resisted. Thoughts of looming deadlines, unanswered emails, and countless responsibilities flooded in. It felt almost impossible to let go of the noise. But then something shifted. Michael took a deep breath and focused on the delicate petals. Their soft curves, vibrant colors, and the way they seemed to glow in the light began to draw him in. Gradually, the tension in his shoulders eased. The rhythm of his breath slowed, matching the gentle sway of the flower. The worries that had consumed him just moments ago began to fade, replaced by a quiet stillness. In that moment, Michael wasn't thinking about the past or the future. He was simply there, fully present. This transformation mirrors what countless thinkers and leaders have spoken about. Oprah Winfrey often shares how moments of mindfulness have helped her navigate the pressures of her career. She describes simple acts like watching the sunrise or sipping tea as grounding rituals that reconnect her to the present. For Michael, this act of observing a flower became his own grounding ritual. It also calls to mind Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher who wrote extensively about finding peace within. In his meditations, he reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Michael's experience with the flower wasn't about changing his circumstances, but about changing how he perceived them. Personally, I've experienced similar moments of clarity while watching the ocean. The vastness of the waves has a way of putting everything into perspective. Like Michael, I've learned that these moments aren't about escaping life, but about embracing it more fully. As Michael sat there, a soft smile spread across his face. He finally understood the wisdom his father had written about. It wasn't just the act of watching the flower, it was what the act represented, a reminder to slow down, to see the beauty and simplicity, and to reconnect with the present moment. For the first time, Michael felt that same sense of connection his father had described in his journal. And as he rose to leave the garden, he carried with him a newfound sense of peace and purpose. Liam's wisdom had taken root, blossoming into a quiet transformation that Michael would carry forward in his own life. Michael's life was forever changed by his father's simple yet profound wisdom. From that day forward, he approached each moment with a newfound sense of presence and gratitude. Mornings began with him watching the sunrise, the warm light filling his heart with hope and clarity. On walks through the city, he paused to listen to the cheerful melodies of birds, their songs reminding him of life's inherent beauty. At work, Michael's demeanor transformed. His once hurried, stressed interactions were replaced with kindness and attention. A simple smile exchanged with a coworker felt like a ripple of positivity, spreading outward. He realized that these small acts, a smile, a kind word, a shared laugh, were as impactful as any grand gesture. Michael's journey reflects a universal truth shared by many great thinkers and leaders. Albert Schweitzer, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, famously said, "Happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory." His point was clear. Happiness is not about clinging to past regrets or worrying about the future, but about living fully in the present. Similarly, mindfulness advocate Sharon Salzberg teaches that joy is found in the ordinary. She emphasizes that even mundane moments, when approached with awareness, hold the potential for deep fulfillment. Michael's choice to embrace life's small moments echoed this philosophy. Personally, I've found that these small moments often hold the greatest meaning. Whether it's the stillness of an early morning or a shared moment of laughter with a friend, these experiences remind me that life's beauty is not in its grandiosity, but in its intimacy. As the music swells, the montage captures Michael's continued journey, a life marked not by constant striving, but by intentional living. He no longer looked outward for validation or happiness. Instead, he found it in the quiet, everyday moments that had always been there, waiting for him to notice. Liam's lesson became Michael's mantra. Happiness isn't found in grand achievements or distant horizons. It's here, in the quiet beauty of the present moment, waiting for us to notice. And as Michael shared this truth with others, he carried his father's legacy forward, proving that sometimes the simplest lessons are the most transformative. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to share it with someone who might need a little peace in their life. Sometimes it's the smallest reminder that makes the biggest difference. And don't forget to subscribe to Inner Peace Journey for more stories designed to inspire, uplift, and help you find calm in the chaos. Together, let's embrace the beauty of the present moment.